Before we're getting into the data, let's first talk about the use case we have here. Imagine we're running a building utilities company in Manhattan, New York. Our main service is fixing elevators. Now, before we expand our business, we want to get some insights from the data. Specifically, we want to understand a few things. First, how often do people actually report elevator issues in New York City? And how has that changed over the years? Second, where in the city are these elevator malfunctions happening? Are they clustered in certain neighborhoods or spread evenly? Third, if we're going to open a new headquarters or service shop, where should we place it so we can respond as efficiently as possible? And finally, what other kinds of service requests are happening in those same areas? Because maybe there's an opportunity to expand, to cover more than just elevators and grow our business. To answer these questions, we're going to use the public NYC 311 service requests database. This dataset includes millions of reports about all kinds of issues, from noise complaints to heating problems, and of course, elevator malfunctions. Since it's a massive dataset, we'll narrow our focus. We'll start by downloading just the 2024 elevator service requests as a CSV file. That gives us a manageable slice of the data that we can dig into right away. With DuckDB, we'll then explore this dataset. Download the 2024 elevator data as CSV, load the CSV with DuckDB, take a quick peek at the data to understand its structure, look at monthly elevator complaints across the year, and then group them by borough to see which parts of the city have the most issues. So let's look at the data and answer these questions. All right. By the way, you're going to find the elevator complaints data set here. I added a link on the GitHub for the general link and also for already a filtered query, so you can download exactly the same file. But nevertheless, when you look into our PowerShell, you're going to see here, and I have that in already cloned down, I already have the requests file, right? So what are we going to do here? We're going to start, and again, you can use the GitHub to copy paste these statements. Go to first open up DuckDB, right? Then we're in DuckDB. And then let's look at the actual file. This is super simple. All you do is describe, select, and then here, as instead of a table, you say from and then read CSV auto, and then here you just put your CSV file. And this shows us all the columns with the data types that you have in the file, right? So this comes straight out of the CSV and it shows us what is in there. Now, let's peek at some data. If we want to peek at some data, we can simply do a select here. We do a select from read CSV auto 311, again our requests, and then limit 5. Now the problem with this is very often what DuckDB does is it does not show you all the columns, right? All the results for the columns. You can cheat this a bit through changing the modes. And you can change a mode here. This one is called DuckBox, but you can change the mode to CSV and then actually query the same thing again. And this will give you a CSV, so you can actually see the exact thing that is in our dataset, right? So here is all the columns at once. And here in the beginning, we see our column names. But let's change back to DuckBox for the future. Now, what did we want to answer? We want to look into a breakdown of the elevator complaints by month, right? That absolutely makes sense. So let's look at this. We do a simple select, and then we select the year and the month as a created date, or from the created date as month, and then do a count on this. Very simple. Again, we read directly our CSV, and then, so we can see 2024, we have the 12 months, and we also have the complaints, and these complaints are quite steady, right? 1900 here, 1500, 1500, 2300, 1800. So this is nice. This is not like during Christmas or something this shoots up, it's a very steady flow of complaints that are coming in. We can work with that. Now, let's focus down by borough, because we want to look at what's the borough with the most complaints. So for that, we would select the borough, count it as complaints from the dataset, group by borough, and then sort them in a descending order. So Bronx, 9,300, Brooklyn, 5,000, Manhattan, almost 5,000, Queens, low, and Staten Island, also low. Now, it would make sense to focus on the Bronx here, but for now, we're going to go with Manhattan, right? So let's look at the Manhattan complaints over time, because it could be different from everything else, right? So we're going to do exactly the same with the month, count the complaints, and then we group by month and order by month. So we see this 300 complaints a month, 340, 392, 400, 400, 400. Perfect. Also very stable. Now let's look at, we can also look at the zip codes for this, right? So we select the zip codes, and then we would see here there are a few codes with high complaints, and then there are a few codes with just a few complaints, right? 1, 2. And also, of course, you can find out actually the street names, right? Street name, count as complaints, borough Manhattan, street name, group by street name, order by complaints. And then we have some street names that are very, very high in the complaint count. Now that already answers us a lot of questions based on the 2024 data. One thing we wanted to see is headquarters. Where are we going to set it? And just at this, let's look at the simple version. One simple version would be just to say the average latitude and the average longitude, and then take this from the borough Manhattan and come out with a coordinate. Now this gives us the latitude and the longitude. And what you can just do is you can go and you can put this into Google Maps. So what I've done is I put these coordinates into my Google Maps, and it comes up with a Central Park location for the optimal headquarter. Right? Does that make sense? Not really. We're going to improve that later with Python. Also in the GitHub, I have 2 more options where one is already quite good. You can try that out. And now that we know how to use the CLI for this, how to query data from a CSV file, let's use the DuckDB UI and let's play around with this so that you get to know it.